All right, I am really late making this video. I admit it. The thing is that I kind of started going back to school. So I just like homework came in, study sessions came in, and I kind of realized like, oh shit, I now have significantly less time to like make content. And listen, I do not intend on abandoning YouTube, but I really need to just get a really solid work life balance set. And that's something that I'm working on. But it does mean that this Skeleton Crew final episode review is just out late. I also, I think I might just skip on reviewing Harley Quinn season 5 just for that reason. So it kind of sucks, but, or Harley Quinn season 6, I think. But either way, you don't care that much. You're either here or you're not, anyways. So let's get into it. Is Star Wars Skeleton Crew worth watching? The first bit of this video is going to be spoiler free. When I let you know, I will be doing a full spoiler breakdown of the last episode, as I was doing week to week reviews, except for this last one, which I'm doing much later. Overall, I would say yes. Star Wars Skeleton Crew is a very solid show. After watching all of the episodes, it very much is what was advertised, what was talked about before the show had come out, where this was going to be Goonies in space. It is a show about a bunch of kids, and they fly off into the galaxy, and they get into little adventures trying to get back to their home planet. And in that, it is very successful. I like all the kids. I think they're all very cute. I like their relationships with one another. I think it actually develops rather nicely throughout the season. If you've seen the trailer, you'll know that they meet up with this like Force user guy played by Jude Law, and I also really like that character. They kind of tease that he's a Jedi, and you kind of see the fruition of that in the show. I won't exactly say how that all rolls around, but I was satisfied by the way that they used a Force user as like a little guide for these kids. The one thing that I will say is that the one main criticism that I'll give the show is that when you see the trailers, you see that they live in the suburbs, right? And you do learn about their planet that they're on, and you do learn why it kind of just looks like the suburbs. Like, they actually have a really interesting explanation for it. I would have liked to see more about that planet. Like, I would have liked for the main plot of, because the kids end up leaving that planet and getting lost, and then there's like a little B plot of the parents kind of doing their own thing on the planet. I would have liked to have seen more of that. They kind of tease that there's like almost some sort of like sinister element going on, or at least I felt like they were teasing at the beginning that there was going to be some kind of like sinister element going on with the government and the bureaucracy of the planet. I would have liked for that to have been explored a little more. I think the ultimate reveal about just what the planet is ends up being a little lackluster. But overall, I mean, it's not really a focus of the show. I kind of wish it was more of a focus of the show. But yeah, overall, I think that if you just want a solid Star Wars show, this is that. I think it is easily the best show since Andor. It's better than Obi-Wan. It's better than the Book of Boba Fett. It's better than Mando Season 3. It's better than Ahsoka. It's better than The Acolyte. Like, I feel like we've had just a lot of disappointments in a row. And this is a break in that disappointment, which is obviously something that Star Wars desperately needed. However, I do also understand that because all of those, what I would argue, are more like traditional Star Wars shows where they're either following Jedi and Force users, or they're following something like cool and exciting like bounty hunters. Like those are your more traditional Star Wars shows. This is more of like a risky prospect. It's following a bunch of kids. And it's just not, like, I can also understand that this is just not the Star Wars show that needs to be hitting at this time, right? Like, The Acolyte is a show that really should have been much better. It really should have given fans what they want, which is a show about Jedi, about Force users, about lightsabers. That is good. And when those more traditional attempts are failing, I can understand why people are then going to look at Skeleton Crew and be like, this isn't what Star Wars needs right now. So from that perspective, I mean, it's not necessarily going to win you over, but if you just want a solid show, that is what this is. All right. So let's jump into talking about the last episode specifically. Now there's going to be a spoiler discussion, so beware. Get out of here. Leave me alone if you haven't watched the show. So at the beginning of the episode, we sort of pick up on Jod pretending to be an emissary, and I think my main problem with this whole thing is I don't really buy that the kids wouldn't immediately just be like, he's actually a pirate. Get him, Dad. Because I feel like if you're a kid and you're around your parents, you have like almost a sense of security. I just don't buy that the kids wouldn't immediately out Jod. Like, I get that Jod is like implicitly threatening the kids and their parents, and that trying to like keep them quiet in that way. But I just don't buy that the kids wouldn't immediately reveal what's going on, especially like when Jod is gone. And it's like, again, I understand he sent these robots to spy on the kids, but if you're the kids, and if you're like, these robots they've never tried to hurt them, I would assume. So I feel like there would be no reason why Wim wouldn't think that he can tell his parent about it. So I just don't believe that the kids would stay quiet throughout all of this, is I guess what I'm saying. However, I do like that they start scheming, right? Like they're not just they're not just letting this situation happen to them. I appreciate that they're all like kind of working together. He's working with Neil and KB to come up with a plot to call the owl guy or girl, who is then going to send help. I appreciate that, and that is why I overall like this last episode, is because even though I have little nitpicks here and there, at the end of the day, seeing them sort of working together to call the New Republic, that was just all very cute and very like exciting, and that was like sort of the driving force of this episode. Another thing that I appreciated was something that I noted in the last episode, and it's that I like that Jod isn't necessarily evil, right? Like, he's not necessarily like a horrible guy. And I say that because I really do get the feeling that he did not want to hurt the kids and the parents. Now, maybe that is like kind of coping, because he does also mention that he doesn't want to hurt them and that he just wants to use them as workers, because we do see like the rest of the pirates pillaging at Aden. But I also just I thought they just did a really good job, I would say especially in episode 7, of when Jod walks into the bank or the treasury, I think is that what you call the place with all the gold. I just think they did a really good job, and Jude Law's performance specifically, where when he walks in there and he just cannot believe how much money he is seeing. Like, it's just like unfathomable to him. And I feel like that moment did a really good job of establishing that, yes, Jod is a shitty person, he's a scoundrel, he's an outlaw, but we also just forget that most of the people in this universe grew up dirt poor. And to walk on this planet and see these people living the way that they're living, like, it's understandable that he would want a piece of that action in some sense. Obviously, he's going about it the wrong way, but it's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, you get it. I don't think that he's evil and that he wanted to hurt the kids or the parents. So I thought I think that just makes him a more interesting villain. I will say, them actually like breaking into the office where Jod is at, I just thought there were a little too many like twists and turns. Like, Jod eventually finds them out, and there's just like, I feel like there's just like way too many times where either Wim tries to press the switch, or the dad tries to press the switch, or Fern tries to press the switch, and there were just way too many moments of them trying and failing where I feel like Jod would have done something. Like, he might have either been like forced to actually hurt one of them, or I don't know. It was just it was just like too many times that they were all in that room, and I feel like there should have been a more interesting or clever way to escalate the plot forward, other than just another character tries to press a switch and then Jod stops them. So I just thought that whole thing was awkward. But again, like I said, overall, I enjoy the idea of, the kids going out and enacting their little scheme. Neil getting into the guns and shooting at the pirates, and then KB obviously escaping and calling the owl lady. All of that I thought was cool. And so it obviously ends with them destroying the barrier so that the New Republic fighters can come in. I like the little cool effect where everything got real bright. It's like the inverse of them shooting any scene at night, where it's like, oh shit, I can see everything now. So I thought that was cute. I like seeing the New Republic fighters coming in and saving the day. That was cute as well. And there is an interesting way where the episode ends where it all definitely feels very abrupt. Like, it just feels like there's a lot that they don't show you that I feel like they would have shown you. Like, for example, like Jod doesn't get arrested or doesn't do anything. He's just kind of like, the last shot of Jod that we see is him staring at his pirate ship going down. And it's like, I don't know. I would have either liked to have seen him get arrested definitively, or seen like a little tease of him like, I'm escaping, I'm going back out into space and being a scoundrel again, and you'll see me in season 2, you meddling kids, or I don't know, something like that. But it's just like, we just don't get any conclusion of Jod. We do get a conclusion of KB. She's alive and the kids are alive, but even with that, like, we don't actually see like, where are the kids at emotionally, literally, at the end of this adventure. It's just like they save KB, and it's like, okay, we kind of get a conclusion for Wim where we see him looking up at the like TIE fighters or whatever, and I kind of get the vibe that Wim's new calling is to be a New Republic fighter pilot. That's kind of what I got out of the ending, but we just don't get a satisfying conclusion like that for Neil or KB or Fern. We also don't get a conclusion of like, what is the status of Adden right now? Like, did the New Republic like stick around to speak with whatever leadership structure is in here? Are we gonna see like Fern's mom maybe become the new leader of Adden? Or like, they obviously have a shit ton of money, so like they can just like establish themselves as a new planet in this like new, or in like, what is it, the universe, I guess, or the galaxy, right? Yeah, like they can establish themselves as a player in the galaxy. Like, again, like I just feel like there was like 5 more minutes of content establishing all of this, that, or maybe more than 5 minutes, but it just ends very abruptly. So I think they probably wanted to do a season 2. And so maybe that's why they were like, yeah, we'll leave that to all of that stuff for the second season. But I would have liked to have seen more of a conclusion for the first season. But yeah, overall, good show, enjoyable show. I liked it a lot. It's the best show since Andor. Doesn't necessarily mean it's anywhere near as good as Andor, but I will say I think Star Wars right now is positioned to have like a decent run, right? Like, we talked about how they kind of had a really bad run since Andor, but I think that Skeleton Crew is a win. Apparently, it's not doing particularly good in the ratings, but quality-wise, it's a win. I think there's good reason to believe that Jon Favreau himself directing The Mandalorian and Grogu, I think they'll actually get a movie out this year, and I'm just going to go ahead and assume that that's going to be good, just because I have faith in Jon Favreau just being able to direct a solid movie. And then Andor Season 2 is also coming out this year. So that, again, I have faith in Tony Gilroy that he'll be able to deliver a good season of television. Maybe it won't be as amazing as the first season of Andor, but it'll probably still be good. So Star Wars is positioned right now to have a win in Skeleton Crew, follow that up with a win in The Mandalorian and Grogu, and then follow that up with a win with the Andor Season 2. So we'll see. Maybe they can manage to like have an actual like good batting average moving forward. I know Marvel is kind of in a similar situation where we're kind of just hoping for them to get their batting average up again. But Skeleton Crew is a nice start to that, so we'll see what happens. But either way, let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.